Hi, I'm Adrian Alexander with the Absolute Sound. I have a question for you. Have you ever wandered into a store or a two-channel hi-fi shop and you noticed something and you said to yourself, wow, what's that? That's what happened to me this past April at Phono. I met with a gentleman, esteemed gentleman named Tom Martin, and he said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't we meet every day at the end of the show, and why don't you tell me the 3 products that you liked the most? Well, one of those products is the A12 Advanced Paris Integrated Amp. I liked it so much, I went back 3 days in a row to listen to it more, to talk to them more about it, and now I have a chance to review it and share that with you. And by the way, thanks for watching and thanks for all the kind comments. Let's get started with the review. Well, Advanced Paris, they have a 25-year legacy in the home market. Advanced Paris began as Advanced Acoustics in 1995 with a range of 5 speakers developed in France. Expanding first to create wide-range speakers, Advanced Acoustics started in 2002. So they've been around for a while, and their focus is amplifiers, CD players, preamps, speakers, and more. They are new to the USA, and they just, again, are being imported by a gentleman named Rob with playback distribution. And I understand why he imported them now, because it's a great piece of equipment. So let's take a look at the front of the A12 Classic Advanced Paris. So over here you can see the standby light. Now, let me turn it on for you so you can see it takes some time to warm up. I think it's really cool. I'll press the button. As you can see, there's the warm-up indicator right here. This is the amount of time. Right now we're at 22 seconds. I really like that. Now some are going to say, well, you know, Mclntosh does the same thing. They might have copied Mclntosh. Yeah, I own a Mclntosh preamp as my reference system and a Mclntosh amplifier. And I'm thinking, so what? You know, doesn't matter to me. I like that. I think it's aesthetically pleasing, and I like how it's just very well lit in the front here. And by the way, this is a lot less than the Mclntosh preamp, and it's all in one unit, and it's an integrated amp. So anyway, you have 2 knobs to the right, or you have 3 knobs, one to the right, one to my left, one to my right. For example, on the inputs, there's for CD, the auxiliary inputs, 1, 2, 4, XLR inputs. This is the volume control, as you can see, minus 70 dB. This is the HDMI to my right, some other inputs. So you have some options. Again, we talked about the headphones. You have 2 options for headphones, and you can change it in the settings in the back. So I put this integrated amp through the ringer. So I have separates, and so this is my turntable. I don't know if you can see it, but I ran my turntable through this moving magnet and moving coil, and it sounded great. I was really happy with the sound, very pleased with it. Also, on the digital side, I ran my streamer through it, which is the Hi-Fi Rose 130, a review coming later on that. Sounded great. Again, I want to emphasize, I've always heard this about people with integrated amps. They go, oh, they're limitless, you can't do a whole lot with them. Well, with the A12 Classic, you can do a number of things. So let's take a look at the back of the unit. They really thought this through, in my opinion. I like the speaker out. So on the right side, the right speaker, you can either input the spades or bananas on the top or the bottom. I think that's well done, because sometimes you don't have a whole lot of space or limited space. You have a trigger out and 1. You have HDMI auto in and HDMI ARC. USB is to update. You have another USB-A for if you want to have files, and you have the USB audio. So you can run a streamer, which I did while using this. I used the Hi-Fi Rose 130, and it worked flawlessly. On the pre-out, if you want, this is another reason why I like integrated amp, why I like this, and I'm so excited about this piece of equipment, because some argue that integrated amps are limited. That's not the case with the A12. I don't think at all. For example, you have a pre-out. So I could run a power amp, which I did. I used my reference system, Mclntosh 462, used this as a preamp, and it worked great. So that being said, that's another option that you have. You have XLR inputs. You have 2 of those, input 1 and input 2. Now on the digital input side, you have coaxial 1, 2, and 3. You have that. 3 optical inputs, that's great. There's also a module For wireless, it's a digital module. That's not included in this. That's optional. You have AE BU input right here. Now, let's go down. You can run 2 subwoofers, and you can cross them over at 75 hertz or 150 hertz. So you have 2 sub outs right here. Also, here's the amplifier in. This is another pre-out if you don't want to run balanced. Record out. The auxiliary inputs, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 auxiliary inputs. Also, if you want to run a CD player. Again, this thing just gives you option after option. You have a built-in phono stage, which is moving magnet and moving coil. Here's the ground for that. Here's the moving coil. You can run it high. There's the moving magnet if you want to run it low. Here are the loads, 100, 300, and 200, 320. As I mentioned before, you have two headphones input in the front of the unit. Right here, you can change the gain or the impedance. Right here for both headphones that you want to use. And on here, of course, is the left side for the speakers. You can either run them up top or run them below. So if you look at the back of this, it's just got a ton of outputs and inputs. It's everything that you could ask for and more, in my opinion. I forgot to mention the remotes. The A12 also comes with a remote. You're able to adjust the tone controls, such as volume, bass, and treble. So let's talk about the sound. I was really impressed with how it sounded. It had a lot of dynamic range, had a lot of reserve power, a lot of punch, had a warm sound, yet had a dynamic sound, if that makes sense. The dual mono design makes for an exceptional experience. It's just a great piece to listen to. Again, it had the punchiness of solid state, had the warm sound of tube, of the tube sound. It blended well, plenty of power. Didn't lack, it wasn't harsh, it wasn't grainy. The sound stage was good. It just was an overall great experience, the A12. Again, I saw this at Exponent and it caught my eye, just the way it was designed and the way it sounded. So 8 ohms, 190 watts, 4 ohms, 280 watts. Plenty of power, very dynamic sounding, very warm sounding, very spacious sounding. So you get the best of both worlds. I'm a big believer in hybrid. Again, my Mclntosh is a hybrid. It uses tubes as well. And for $3,700, I think this is the best value for a number of reasons. Everything that you can use it for, all the inputs, all the outputs. I think you'll be happy for a long, long time. If I were to consult and somebody asked me, what should I start with? And you had a limited budget, this would be it, because you can always add to it. I like this because it's building blocks. Apparently, they make a lot of other pieces of equipment too, and they have a streamer and some other things that would go with this. And this is their flagship. And at $3,700, I think this is a great value. I've really enjoyed listening to this and playing with it. If I were to buy my son or daughter a system to get started with, this is what I'd start with. This is a piece that you could keep for 8 to 10 years and be happy with, if not longer. I like to talk about the customer service. As I mentioned before, Advanced Paris, they're in the country Paris, not to be confused with Paris, Texas, that's a joke. But Rob from Playback Distributing, I called him and he told me what dealers there are. I called the dealers and talked to them about some of the products, and they were very helpful, and he's signing up more dealers. And I was curious. I wanted to ask him, why did he bring this unit in? Why did he want to start importing this unit? Now I understand, with listening to it and playing with it, this is a great value. I had a lot of fun with this review. I had a lot of fun with this product because it gives you so many options and it sounds so wonderful, and it's affordable price. Again, at $3,800. this is all you really need. And this will last you a long, long time. It's dual mono, it sounds great. You have so many options. You can have a moving magnet, moving coil, Phono cartridge hooked up to it. You can hook a streamer up to it. I know I've gone over this and over this, but it's like the buffet of integrated amps. They've done a great job, the design, the electronics. Again, I hope this is something that's useful to you, and I hope that's, that you get some value out of this, because I got a lot of value out of this in the time that I had to play with it for the last couple of months. So thanks for listening to the review. Thanks for all your kind comments, and don't forget to subscribe to The Absolute Sound. Thank you.